Okay, thank you very much for your invitation, distinguished guests and dear colleagues. Of course, as it has been mentioned by Thierry, it's a challenge to be, for the speaker to divert you from lunch discussion. So I'll do my best, and of course I will make it short to draw your attention on some issues of the mobility revolution. I have the support of your few slides. The mobility revolution is a fascinating story because just imagine a world where customers use paper timetables and paper tickets to travel. A world where people would have to come to the station early in time. Does it sound like a century ago? No, just 10 years ago, no more. So today, everything about mobility is on our smartphones, everything we need to move around. So every mobility leader, such as SNCF, had to adapt very quickly to these changes, and we must continue to innovate, to anticipate tomorrow's customers' expectations. But before exploring how, I want to stay a few seconds on why. And the diagnosis is the following one. You know that we are entering a brand new era with new needs, new technologies, and new rules of the game. The only option we have is to create solutions to address three game changers. The impact of climate change, of course, the urban population explosion, and the increasing scarcity of resources. Mobility is vital for all our cities. It's kind of lifeblood of our economy, but it's also a big challenge for our environment. It represents no less than 20% of the CO2 emissions after the energy and heating sector. The consequence of that is that the mobility companies have to be extremely proactive and act quickly to promote shared mobilities. And the shared mobility, in average, produces 10 times fewer emissions than private cars. In France, as an example, our commitment is to double shared mobility market share from 15% today to 30% in 2030. That's a huge challenge. But you can see that on the screen, new power players. The balance of power and value creation has shifted dramatically. You can see on the top of it, bank and asset-heavy industries, they're giving way to the digital economy. And you can see that even newer players are coming fast and furious, like Baidu, the Chinese Google. They have a market cap of $260 billion, and Alibaba, which has already a turnover of $6.5 billion. Those new players are huge. They are not afraid. They have cash. They have talents, and they are going to disrupt a lot of status quo. In our business, Uber, you know that, has absolutely no real asset. And I can see my friend Sébastien Bazin from Accor. I'm sure he will speak a little bit about Airbnb. And I would just add to that Alibaba, the most valuable retailer in the world, has absolutely no inventory. So new habits, new rules. The customers, their habits are changing mobility. The younger generations, they are digital native, and they show a radically different attitude towards ownership. Usage has become the core value, not ownership. Take cars in France. The average age in which people buy a new car is 57. So I'm today just the right age to buy a brand new car. My first brand new car, 57 age. Second, the car makers, they're getting the message loud and clear. The executive chairman of Ford Motors, he said recently, if you live in a city, you don't need to own a car anymore, coming from Ford Motors executive. So another example is from Peugeot in France. Peugeot in France has made a strong turnaround. They're implementing a strategic shift in their strategy to become a service provider of mobility within the next decade. So the new players are disrupting the mobility market in several ways. New technologies like Tesla, new business model like BlaBlaCar in Europe, which is of course a leader in carpooling, by designing integrated door-to-door mobility solutions. It's of course Google Platform or Citymapper in Europe. If we go a little bit further, the new technology, the mobility industry must adapt and learn to play with these new roles and take the new technologies as opportunities. Of course, clean power, electric cars, but also electric buses and trucks, full connectivity, Internet of Things, which is going to save a lot of money and increase reliability, and driverless vehicles. Just an example about driverless trains. The new generation of automated driverless train will of course bring cost saving. We're going to be able to run more trains on the same track. And to give you an example of that, we are now designing in France a new train line named EOL. This line, completely automated, will serve more than 500,000 passengers per day, with more than one train every 80 seconds during the peak hours. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we know why. Let's take a few minutes on how. We have several convictions to address these opportunities. The first one is, of course, think like a passenger. We need to think like a passenger. That's the example, for example, in Melbourne, where we organize on a weekly basis meets up with customer focus group to better understand their lifestyle and how they use the tram, the Yara tram, which is the largest in the world, and we operate it, which is a real proudness. But we share this view with our Qatar Rail colleagues here for the future metro and light rail service in Doha to be open before the World Football Club. So user experience is becoming absolutely key. We need to be more and more client-centric. Second conviction is training, training, training. We need to have, I would say, train people as a first-class team. Digital transformation has changed the way of training the staff. For example, we use virtual reality to give staff experience, live maintenance and safety training scenario with a lot of interactive games. Each time we have chosen to operate a network, our number one priority is training the local staff and, of course, full transfer of technology. A third conviction is about size. In the mobility, global mobility challenges, size matters because we need to combine train, light rail systems, metros, carpooling, car sharing, parking, and online platforms. We need to combine all those skills to deliver individual mobility solutions. And the last conviction is about think global but act local. There are in the world mobility champions, probably 4 or 5, Deutsche Bahn, SNCF, MTR, and some others. They develop complex multimodal ecosystems with solutions which match local needs. Driverless cars somewhere, car sharing somewhere, bikes, electric bikes. Of course, it's up to us to imagine solutions aligned with local needs. And just to finish this quick presentation, let's take a look at some of these solutions. The first one is plan an integrated system. As I mentioned before, the new mobility systems requires hub station platforms capable of switching modes efficiently and quickly. And I should stress here today that the Gulf countries have taken the first major steps by building the most modern metros in the world in an amazing short time. It's a world record, and bravo to Qatar Rail for that. In Doha, urban transport has to be ready to manage exceptional ridership flows and move millions of football fans expected for the World Championship in 2022. Second solution is to use railway as a backbone. More than 50% of the world's population live in urban areas, and by 2050, the overall population growth will add another 2.5 billion. And of course, train is the backbone of this system because it brings cities closer to each other from city center to city center. The fourth solution is about hubs, connective hubs. Modern stations are built to use urban space efficiently and avoid unnecessary travel. They consume less energy thanks to innovation like smart grids, and they are completely connected to soft modes that passengers need for their last mile to destination. Just referring to the last mile, I want to show you this world innovation you see on the right side of the slide. This is in Lyon, the second largest city in France. It's called Navia, and it's a flagship experimenting system of automated driverless electrical bus. It helps to connect metros, tramway, buses, and here in Qatar, a company named Group 8 has invested in Navia and purchased a few machines to be operated in the port of Doha. Just to finish, bringing it all together with digital. I will not insist on that because every speaker has stressed the importance of the website platforms in any kind of service. We should guarantee our customers that we will connect all modes of transport. And just to finish with another example, we can speak about the world of tomorrow. I'm sure you've seen this picture already. It's a Hyperloop vision. Hyperloop is a new transportation system which has been invented in the States, and of course, it's an electric autonomous vehicle. We invested with other companies in this new innovation, and we believe that this technology will be able to carry containers in the biggest ports of the world, like Long Beach or Dubai, and that will help to solve the congestion problem in all those ports. I just want to conclude saying that here in the Gulf, I'd like to pay tribute to the incredible mobility revolution which is taking place now in this region. You here are true visionaries. Your country have vast supplies of petrol, but yet you're already investing considerably in sustainable mobility networks. You are developing state-of-the-art interconnected mobility systems designed to anticipate customer expectation. And once again, there is a record here in Doha, where we are today. You are breaking a world record with no less than 21 tunnel boring machines working at the same time in Doha. And just to give you an example, in France, with the Grand Paris Express, we only have 2. Not 21, but 2. So thanks again for listening. And once again, thank you, shukran jazilan, and bon appétit to everybody.